Hello, this is Jenny from Healing the Wounded Heart. Many of us live our lives by making plans, dreaming of things we would like to do, and sometimes being able to make some of those things actually happen in our life. But we also experience times when, despite our best efforts, some things just don't happen and can leave us feeling very disappointed. How many of us can remember things that we thought would definitely take place and then sadly never did? Maybe through no fault of our own. My husband and I were planning a big holiday to celebrate my milestone birthday. We planned it months in advance, but it never happened because of lockdown. Do I feel disappointed? Yes, I do. Of course I do. This reminds me that although it's important to plan and anticipate good things, we also need to hold things lightly because no one of us knows the future. Only God does. So we find ourselves living with this kind of tricky balance in life. On the one hand, nothing in life is a guarantee, but on the other hand, nothing in life is beyond becoming an actuality in our life. How many of us have experienced things in our lives that we thought were impossible? I never dreamt that I would actually stand in front of people and speak because of my inferiority complex and complete lack of confidence. And yet this is what God has called me to do, and He gives me the strength to do it. Now let's think about David in the Bible. He was an ordinary person just like you and me, and he loved God. Now it seemed impossible that David could kill Goliath because of his youth and smaller stature. And yet he did kill Goliath through God's strength. Now the very same David later on in his life longed to build a temple for God, but God said no. His son Solomon was to build it instead. Now, do you think David was disappointed? I bet he was. And yet he came to terms with God's decision and helped to supply some of the materials needed for the building to commence. So what can we learn from this? Yes, make plans and dream, but hold these things lightly. If they don't happen, it's really not the end of the world. Maybe God has another plan, something better perhaps. Or maybe He prevented something bad from happening. Or maybe that plan will come about later on. I am reminded of James chapter 4, verses 13 to 15 in the Bible, where James helps us to understand the importance of living with this attitude of holding things lightly. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. Now, I think these are very wise and realistic words. What do you think?